It is 5:31, and together with Ava, let's call this joint meeting of the Library Board of Trustees and the Library Building Committee to order. Ava, I'm gonna keep talking, but please, join me with whatever we need to do here as well.
Thank
in
you.
Running this meeting. So we have one item of business here, and I just thought it was appropriate that we all get together to do this item of business, which is the SUGS commemorative items at Prosser. And I've asked Jeff from TSKP, I know he's here, there he is, to present where we're at with these items.
Joe, if you can call up the drawing that I gave you.
Yeah, one quick second.
So Jeff's going to be talking about the items that are in the building, because I know there's a larger scope to the whole commemorative thing, but Jeff's going to cover what's in the building.
Yeah, so what I have done is there is a top half and a lower half, and those represent two options. Basically, one is a 4-inch high lettering, and the bottom is a 5-inch high lettering. So what I try to do is on the left is a perspectival view looking through the 2-story space through into the reading room. And I know that there was some discussion and thoughts on how to handle the signage inside so that it's tasteful, sophisticated, and there was some thought behind it, not just stamped on the beam itself or elsewhere. So first, I thought that the Joseph M. Suggs signage should appear to float above the space of the reading room. Each individual letter is spaced equally from the center of the library, spanning the width of the 2-story space. The space between the text is free and open through to the reading room beyond, allowing the transference of space and thought. Each is independently attached to the wood beam, creating a bridge or gateway linking the spaces of the main library. As the experience of the library itself, a space that could be read with its various layers and cadences, honoring Joseph M. Suggs. And I thought that the thickness of the letters should be about the thickness of a book, since books give time and they take time. So the text will have some dimension. It will allow a reading through the text into the architectural space. And I think that it's subtle, but yet it's powerful. So with that, I'd like to open that up for discussion. That's the first piece.
Okay, comments, questions for Jeff on what we're looking at so far? Mr. Berman.
Thank you, Chair. Just one question. Are these the letters with his name on the wall, they hanging? Are they presented?
Joe, can you scroll down to the next page? And zoom in on that learning part. So basically each letter is pinned to the underside of the beam. And the idea that it would follow the center of the beam structurally, so that the spacing of the letters and the reading through the letters into the space creates a backdrop of the library itself. So it has some three-dimensionality to it. It's got some depth.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Mr. Berman?
One more comment. I believe it's Joseph M. Suggs Jr. I think junior.
Okay, we can ask that question
Yeah.
of the right party. Jeff, what was your recommendation here, 4 versus 5-inch lettering? Maybe you can zoom in on those two
Yeah,
renderings.
the elevations.
Yeah,
I prefer the 4-inch just because it's a ratio of the 24-inch beam. And I think the spacing works out nice. It gives some free space on each side of that group of text. But I showed you a slight larger one without going too large because I think it starts to compete. And I think this way it's a level of sophistication that reads better. Either one will work. I'm leaning on the 4-inch, but the 5-inch could work as well.
anybody with preferences?
The
Patrick,
distance from the bottom of that text is about 12 and a half feet from the floor. So you will see it.
Patrick?
Thank you, Chair. Jeff, thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for the presentation. I just had a couple quick questions. So the letters themselves, what would they be made out of?
I'm thinking of a sort of pure material, sort of a clear anodized aluminum possibly. And so without any sort of color on it, something
Okay.
that reads as like a, you know, something with some strength to it. So it reads as a solid material.
Okay. And could you again, I'm sorry if I missed this earlier, but what is the difference between having it on the first level or the main level and then the second level? Could you just point that out again?
Oh no, they're both on the first level on the
Oh,
underside of, yeah, these are two options. I just
gotcha.
stacked them. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I thought I misheard that. I thought you were saying.
The face of the wood.
Oh,
Those are
okay.
2 examples of the same location.
Okay,
4-inch
same
letters and
location.
5-inch letters.
Yeah, I do prefer, the question was about the lettering. I think the 4-inch letters were good.
Well, as I was thinking about this, I was trying to think of how
Okay, thank you.
to, yeah, I was thinking about that signage term, what that is. And I think that this offers a level of sophistication for the honoring of Joseph Suggs. So I think this is not only signage, but it's like it's a spatial idea of what his name could be within the space of the library. So that's what I struggled with trying to come up with the idea.
Claudia?
Thank you. I didn't quite catch how the letters would be attached to the beam.
So
Are they
each letter has a fastener. There's going to be about a 2-inch gap or an inch to 2-inch gap between the bottom of that wood beam and the text itself. So Joe, if you scroll down to the second page again, you'll see those independent text letters that have a support on top of the text. See that? So it's suspended. It's floating in the space.
So there's,
So if you
it's like a
zoom in on
fine,
that learning,
like a fine
you'll
wire hanger.
well, it's like it's more
Well,
of
a little stiffer than that, but
yes, it's stiffer,
they're not swinging.
not swinging.
Does that answer your question, Claudia?
Thank you.
And how
Okay.
durable are the hanging letters in your experience?
Well, I believe that they're going to last for the lifetime of the library. I don't think there's any way anybody could touch them. They're pretty high up, and they're going to be permanently affixed to the underside of that major beam. So I don't think they're going anywhere.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, the next step in this would be to give this to our sign trade contractor for detailing. So they would draw it up, detail it, the gauge of the wires, everything measured, and get that back to the architect for approval. So that we
What
can
I would like to request on this, just to keep the conceptual depth going with this, is that we could find out from Joseph Suggs what his favorite book is. Because I like to make the thickness of each letter align with that.
we can certainly ask him. Okay. Other questions? All right, let's, why don't we move on? There's 3 items here, in the library. Let's go to number 2.
So if you zoom in on this on the plan, Mark, did you want to speak to this or should I?
Sure, we can do that. I can do that. So Joe, if you can zoom in on the bottom of that, there's a floor plan of the same room, of the large main reading room. Bring that down a little bit more, Joe. There you go. Yeah. So that's the floor plan of that large reading room in this southeast corner of the building. The main entrance to the building is down on the lower right. And then there's the monumental stair you can see midway up on the right against the east glass wall. And there's a series of columns, internal columns in the space that are brick on 3 sides. And then the 4th side facing inside is an acoustic panel. And if we look at those columns, if you slide up, Joe. So that's an elevation at the corner of the main entrance and the first of those columns. And what's proposed here is a plaque that you see in that yellow square, just to locate it on that column, facing inward. It's kind of opposite the main circulation desk in the space. And that would be a plaque, and the suggested wording for the plaque is shown above that, which identifies the room as the Suggs Reading Room and the dedication of the entire first floor in honor of Joseph M. Suggs. So that's the second item here. It was just in some discussions with the architect, we envisioned this not being most plaques that you see are a cast metal. But we thought something more elegant would be a glass plaque with the words printed on it. And I think the next page shows an example of a glass plaque, different wording, but if you'd slide down, Joe. And again, well, if we're going to add junior to it, it would be there. But, oh no, we didn't include that. It was not included in there. Well, it was an example of a plaque in glass. But again, we can, this is going to go back and forth again to the architect. Questions on that? Clark.
Thank you, Chair. The date on here is was confusing to me. I know what the year is, but I would think the year would be the years that he served the town. That would give it some perspective. I have no idea when he served the town.
Well, I think that's really been saved for the 3rd item. Let's take a look at that, and then we can talk about it here, whether it's suitable here, because I mean, Joe has done many things with the town over various years, and there's a chance to explain all that in the 3rd item, which is an oil portrait of Mr. Suggs. And below it would be that opportunity for some sort of storyboard to describe, what he did with and for the town. And the concept here, this is the community room now that we're looking at the outside. We're inside the community room, looking at the exterior wall. There's 2 very large windows there. And to the left of that is the proposed location of the portrait of Mr. Suggs. With hung next to it, the portrait of Levi Prosser, and an opportunity there to put a storyboard below his portrait as well. So there's information there.
To answer Clark's question quickly, he was the mayor of Bloomfield from 1989 to 1993, and then he was appointed to the office of state treasurer by the Connecticut General Assembly in 93. And he worked 27 years as a lab supervisor at Monsanto. So pretty
So
interesting.
that's where the detailed information would be.
Yeah.
Mark, can I ask a question, please?
Sure, please, go ahead.
So that first slide that you show with the glass type of acknowledgement,
Yes,
where is that placed? I maybe you said it and I missed it. Where is that placed?
that is in the large reading room, the large main room as you enter the library
So
on
that
one
is-
of the columns.
Okay, so that's my first time seeing that. I agree with your last speaker. If we could go back to that first slide, please, with the glass. Yeah, I think the date of service, the 2025 looks out of place to me with no kind of purpose. And the gentleman that just shared the date, I think it would be nice right in that. It doesn't have to be a large font size, but I think we should put it there. Because if you're telling me as a resident or a guest to the library, I have to find out about the years of service when I go to the last community room. I think for continuity, we should put it in the first if you're asking for that, in the first, as you come into the library.
Put it on this plaque.
Exactly.
Mr. Chairman, this is Bob Ike.
Go
Joe
ahead, Bob.
Suggs is still serving the community.
Yeah.
Joe Suggs, as we speak, is still serving the community. Right now he's chairman of the Charter Revision Commission. Joe Suggs' service to the community has not ended. It may even continue beyond when the library is dedicated. Joe Suggs is still serving the community. I just want to bring that point up.
Well, perhaps it would be best with no date at all on this plaque.
Okay.
I'm floating out that idea.
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
that
if
might be
that's-
the move. Yep.
If that's better, I just don't think 2025. And I just want to ask about maintenance. Is this a hard type of a glass to be maintained? I don't know if that's
Those kind of things basically would just need a dusting or
Okay.
a soft cloth kind of wipe. That's all.
okay.
Elizabeth.
Yes, thank you. I was just wondering the wording of this sign. I'm not an expert in creating the wording for commemorative signs, but I'm wondering if it could be run by somebody who does this type of thing to ask them about the date number and also to maybe simplify the wording. I think
Yeah.
it looks redundant and
Yes.
the
yes.
word entire is too much. Perhaps
Yes.
it should just say something like Suggs Reading Room. The first floor is dedicated in honor of Joseph M. Suggs, civic leader.
I totally agree with that. It's too wordy.
Okay. All right. Mr. Berman.
Yes, it'd be hard to put dates on it because Joe Suggs was instrumental in keeping the Bloomfield Early Learning Center functioning for many, many years. He chaired the board of directors of that for, I think, 20 years at least. And he was very instrumental in making sure that it functioned. So if you're gonna have dates anywhere, you gotta go way back in time in Bloomfield, way before he was on council. And I would go back to 1989 when his daughter graduated. I believe that's the year she graduated high school. He and his wife were very active in town before that. So dates in this case, in the case of Mr. Suggs, I think are totally irrelevant because it starts way before, and as Mr. Ike said, it's still continuing. It will continue.
So the storyboard with the portrait sounds like a more appropriate place there. And we also talked about having even a QR code at the storyboard, so you could, bring up more information, which has the freedom to change over time as well.
Unless the 2025, we point out that's the dedication date the year when we dedicated the plaque to Mr. Suggs. I think that's more what that date was trying to say. It's not about the years of service, which will be at other places, in the reading room.
right? So maybe there's some flexibility there. We can get some other advice, you know, on the exact wording and whether 2025 is appropriate or not. Patrick?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I wanted to see if we could make a suggestion on the plaque. I agree with all the comments about the wording. I really feel that someone from the library who is, you know, an excellent writer or has the experience with the wording for a plaque. So if we could agree on the type of material the plaque would be and the location of the plaque in the library, which I think is a great location, can we possibly turn the wording over to Elizabeth and her staff so that they could come up with, you know, what the plaque should say? Because I totally agree with all those comments. You don't want to say, again, you say the reading room, but then we're repeating the reading room and the whole first floor. The Bloomfield Town Council is confusing on the bottom. Maybe that's supposed to say, you know, dedicated by the Bloomfield, you know, because they had involvement, but, you know, again, the way it is now, it's confusing. So I'm just wondering if we could agree on the other elements, but turn the actual wording on the placard over to the library.
I suggest you turn that into a motion.
I will. So I'd like to make a motion that we take the placard for Mr. Zuggs in its location. Do you want me to say where it's located or?
As displayed.
Yeah, okay. If we could take Mr. Zuggs' placard as displayed in the location and to have it made of a material that would be acceptable, such as glass, and turn the wording of the placard over to the library for completion.
Second.
Okay, moved by Patrick, seconded by Mr. Ike. Do we have questions, comments on the motion?
I just had one question.
Sure.
The Bloomfield Town Council, is that supposed to refer to Mr. Suggs, or is that supposed to refer to the town council wanting to dedicate this placard?
Right.
Well, I think that would be part of your research when you figure out the
Okay,
proper
I was
wording
wondering
here.
if we knew that. Okay,
I
understood.
mean, it has been dedicated, the dedication is from the town council. So that's the only thought here at the moment, but certainly, you know, as you research what makes best sense here, that would be part of the homework as I see it. Other questions? Ava?
Yeah, that was actually my question. With revisions, then I like Patrick's motion. I have a couple of other comments, but I think I will reserve those because they're not directly related to your motion. Thanks.
Okay, other questions, comments on the motion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Anybody?
Mark,
Yes.
it's not a name, but I just wondered if Elizabeth wanted some help. From our end, we could, I'd like to say, Elizabeth, that I'd be more than happy to also assist from a university perspective if you want some help.
That would be great. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Chris. Any nays? Anybody abstaining? Motion passes. All right. So that's one of the three items. Can we do similar things with the, why don't we go to the, with the oil portrait location and maybe the concept of a storyboard with it?
So moved.
Mr. Ike is making a motion. Do we have a second? Claudia? You raise your hand.
Oh,
No.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, questions, comments
Yes, comment. I would prefer to see the two plaques not in the community room. And the reason for that is I don't want to preclude in the future the possibility of naming the community room for, after somebody or for somebody. It's the two plaques in there that kind of implies that that's it. I'm not sure if that's an appropriate location for the two plaques in the portrait.
Well, honestly, in touring the building, it's been pretty difficult to find a location. I mean, there are dedicated wall spaces for temporary exhibits. The library, will be changing things in various locations, but this one was available and seemed to be a good one, honestly. That wall faces you when you enter the room as well. Um, I don't know that it implies that that room is named for either one of the gentlemen, Prosser or Suggs, by having both there.
So as long as it's clear in the minutes and it's clear to both the committee and the library board of trustees, it does not preclude the possibility of naming the community room for somebody else or in honor or memory of somebody else. I have no problem with it. That was my only concern.
Yeah, I don't see where it would preclude that. All right, any other questions on
Ava.
Ava?
Thanks, Mark. Um, I'll take these sort of in order. Um, to Bob's point about a possible future dedication, that is not actually in the purview of the library board of trustees. There is a vote of the council, a policy on naming, and everybody in town is bound by that rule. That would be a decision for the council. Having said that, I do not think, first of all, that everyone has a concept of how limited the space is. We have programmatic needs for some of those spaces. Secondly, I think we can't design around something with the indefinite possibility that someone might sometime in the next half or 3/4 of a decade of a century decide that they want to make a dedication. They would be obliged to find a way to manage that should the need occur. I think part of the point of having Mr. Suggs and Mr. Prosser honored here is their involvement in the community. And I think it's extremely relevant and appropriate to have those portraits prominently displayed by the community room. And I think also to your point, Mark, about storyboarding, I actually remember the plaque for Mr. Prosser. It's sort of a aged bronze looking plaque, and it has text about Mr. Prosser and his contributions. I think that might be a model for the way in which balance would be achieved by creating the plaque for Mr. Suggs, since both of them are civic leaders of note. Thanks.
Okay, so we have a motion to locate the portraits and storyboards in the community room as shown here. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I had one.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Mark, can part of this motion include the Public Art Commission helping with the oil portraits? The commissioning of all of that?
I don't think that's necessary. I mean, it's essentially what we're going to do from this point is turn this over to the town manager for further implementation, which essentially is going to mean making sure any other approvals that he sees necessary will happen. And any resources that we have been using will continue, you know, so I don't think, it doesn't preclude that in any way at all. I'm just trying to simplify this, that's all. But I think utilizing the Arts Commission for the portrait, utilizing the Historical Commission for even the wording, help with wording on the storyboards, you know, is an option that we talked about. So I think we
Yes.
don't want to limit our resources. So I would discourage complicating it, you know, with
Okay.
that.
I just want to note that there will be proper procedures followed for the working through of that. I know we've already received some feedback with people being interested, but there will be proper channels in which this all moves forward.
Right, right. As is true with all that we do. So, yeah, Ava?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yeah, that brings up one other point. You mentioned a QR code, but there are other possibilities we've discussed about a more detailed view of the service of Mr. Suggs to the community. And one of those being a StoryCorps interview. And for anyone who's familiar with StoryCorps, someone is interviewed to discuss their life in town and how this is related, their perspective. And I think all of us are delighted that Mr. Suggs is still with us and could participate in that effort while he is still among us. And that would be something that we would also include in a digital history. If anyone has looked at the library website, you can see that we have a fairly detailed piece of history written about Mr. Prosser. It's the kind of inclusion that we would also have for Mr. Suggs. The point of detailing the history of the library, aside from historical value, emphasizes the relationship of all those that are discussed directly with the history of the town and the history of the library specifically. So we are not limited by the wording of a plaque or of basically a caption or brief placard with a portrait. That would limit the educational value, which is one of the items that the town council directly addressed. And I believe the mayor mentioned that very specifically, but it is also what we do. And it also fits in with the fact that libraries are at their core quintessentially service institutions. And to honor those who have helped bring that service to everyone in this town is something that, providing their history and the way that it is related to the library, emphasizes for those who are learning about the library and their town. So I think all of this argues for what Elizabeth and her team brought forth in her three-pronged approach. Throughout all of our meetings, I think you have noted that the position of the board has been that we want to provide more than something that is simply a plaque on a wall that is static and that doesn't indicate the relationships that are so important in this town. We're a small town. It's about the people in town, and we want to emphasize that. So whenever these items are being discussed, I think that's something that's important to note. It's important not just to us, it's important to our service, and it's important to our town. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Ava. I just want to make a note, it is after 6 o'clock, so other people are joining us because we will, at the conclusion of this special meeting, we will be going into the regular meeting of the Library Building Committee. Yeah, there are two other elements besides these three things in the building that have always been part of this, and that is that story core that you're talking about, and any website, library website presence relating to Mr. Suggs as well. So we have a motion on the floor, correct? For the location of the portraits and the storyboards. Any other questions on that before we vote on that? All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anybody abstaining? Okay, the motion passes. Let's just go back to the first item, which Jeff presented, and that's the lettering. Somebody want to make a motion? Mr. Berman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the lettering be placed as shown in the diagram and that it be a 4-inch.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Berman, seconded by Mr. Ike. Questions, comments? Okay, Patrick.
Oh, thank you, Chair. My only comment would be if Bob would like to add to his motion the type of letter it will be, as Jeff talked about earlier. Would it be aluminum, or mention something in the motion that to be determined, that will something?
You want to say as recommended by the architect?
Recommended by the
that
architect, yeah. I accept that.
Thank you.
Okay, you good with that, Mr. Ike?
Yes, sir.
All right, other questions or comments? All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
I
Aye. Aye.
Any nays? Anybody abstaining? All right, the motion passes. All right, Ava.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Before you adjourn your meeting and move to the regular meeting, I just wanted to make a brief comment. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate the thought. I appreciate the subtlety, and I appreciate the sense of connection that you're trying to create. It's everything we want to be as Bloomfield Public Library. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, anything else on that item of business?
Mm.
All right, so we have open comment. Anybody from the public wish to speak? No. Okay, we thank you for attending, and I thank everybody for coming to a special meeting. I think we accomplished what we're trying to accomplish. It will go officially to the town manager. The architect will continue to work. Everybody's going to continue to work on this. As all other elements of the building has to go through the like process. So with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Moved by Mr. Berman, seconded by Mr. Ike. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, we are adjourned, and I thank everybody. And everybody is welcome to stay for our regular library building committee meeting. No, that's an extra. Okay. Joe, we have a quorum, so do we need to start recording again, or are we good? We're good. We are recording. All right, so time is 6:10. I apologize for the lateness. We ran a little long on our special meeting. Call the Library Building Committee to order. And we have minutes from April 9th for approval.
So moved.
By Mr. Ike, seconded by Patrick. Comments or corrections? Okay, then.
Actually, there is one correction.
One correction
that
by
was,
Joe.
Called out by Allison. She sent me an email,
Okay,
with regard to some wording. Allison, I don't recall, I don't have the email in front of me, but I will make that correction.
all right. Allison had one correction.
Yeah, it was
Number one.
just under number 6, just to clarify that we're opening late to the public on Thursdays in May.
Right. Just in wording.
At Prosser only,
Right.
Atrium.
Yep. That-
Atrium.
not
Almost.
Prosser yet, at Atrium.
almost.
only.
We're very close. We're close. Okay.
Wishful thinking.
All right. All in favor, motion, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Anybody abstaining? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay. All right, let's go to Downs Construction. Anthony is here. Who else is here? Anybody? You alone?
Scott's here.
Scott, where's Scott? Oh, Johnny? Okay,
He was here.
there you are.
He is.
Okay. I
All right,
see
let me
you
share
now.
my screen and we'll get right into it. All righty, going down the list, nothing's changed, same standard operation as usual. General updates, sheet metal work at the south elevation at the roof level is being reviewed and approved by TSKP prior to continued progress. We want to get TSKP on site to take a look at that. We tried a couple pictures, but because of the height and the accessibility of our photos, they're coming in a little blurry the more you zoom in. So we'd like to get Jeff out there to take a look so we could keep progressing on that south elevation. Crown Castle
I'll be there
work has.
tomorrow morning.
Beautiful. Awesome, Jeff. Thank you so much. Crown Castle work has started. They've installed their lines. They pulled the wire today. So they're starting their terminations. But we want to do and get direction from the town. The phone line establishment, I don't believe is coming from Crown Castle. I believe it's going to come through Frontier. I think the town has an accounts through Frontier to get the phone lines out. So we've been working with Glenn, Warren, Chris, and Matt over at the DPW. Van Zelm continues with their MEP review for commissioning. We have a few reports in and distributed. We have them working together with RZ to get us ready for the RTU startup you'll see later on in this agenda. Prosser site work contractor has final grading of the north entrance of the garage and the east elevation sidewalks. Those east elevation sidewalks have been poured. Removal and grading of the sidewalks at the south elevation are in progress and actually got poured today. Those are done, you'll see in the photos. Site work has been prepped and final graded for the installation of the plaza entrance slab. Right now, we're working with whether we go with the concrete slab that we had value engineered into the project to go back with a full paver system. I'm working out some details with Jeff and his consultant. Hopefully, we could get rid of that 6-inch sub slab so we could get a better credit and a bigger credit back from our site work contractor to apply to the added cost from the mason to put the pavers down. With that being said, if we cannot remove that sub slab that will support the pavers, they suggested changing the mix design from a DOT mix design. It might be a little bit cheaper cost there, which meaning it will be a bigger credit coming back, and a couple other ideas of removing some of the control joints in that slab. So there's just a couple things to think about, but we do see that as going full paver as added value to the project when the time comes and we put the proposal together for the town when that time comes. The cast stone and face brick has been basically completed at all elevations around the building. We are working right above the main entrance, finalizing some items there. Face brick inside the library has also been completed with the soldier coursing. The stonework is continuing at the plaza retaining walls. I don't know if you guys had a chance to drive by and take a look on the west elevation of that wall. It's fully done and they're coming across the south side. It looks absolutely fantastic. The porch guardrail system has been installed. The iPay decking has been installed on the porch deck, or it's continuing, I should say. Floor moisture mitigation and finished flooring has been installed on the second level. In majority of the spots, we have put floor protection down for other trades that need to continue to work above ceiling and so on and so forth. Fire protection, actually I skipped one. Elevator cab is completed. We're waiting on to finish the flooring within the elevator cab to be done. Fire protection, minor adjustments are being made throughout the space. The fin tube radiant heat has been installed at all levels. The radiant panels within the ceilings have been installed at all levels where shown and required. Mechanical piping is continuing to be finished up. Same with ductwork. We do have one final tie-in into the Friends of the Library store area. We need to drop some ductwork down a hole and patch that up. Exterior grade insulation is continuing at the RTUs outside. RTUs are pretty much ready for startup. We're just waiting on confirmation for some final reports from Ben Zelm and RZ that goes along with the boiler and hot water tanks. HVAC control final tie-ins are continuing with the BMS system requirements. Control work is about 90% complete. Electrical light fixtures and devices are being installed throughout the space on walls and within ceilings. Fire alarm and comm systems are continuing with their installations. We are pre-programming those, getting those ready for when we do have our phone lines in, we could hit the ground running. Millwork deliveries are continuing. Installation continues at the second level with upper and lower cabinets. Main level deliveries are continuing as well. Custom wood ceilings are being installed at the second level in high bay areas. That is actually substantially complete now that we had some glue lamb trim panels that are hung and up and in. They look absolutely fantastic. You'll see once we get to that last section here, as always. The engineered clips are being installed where we had to structurally engineer clips to hold these glue lamp trim panels because the 34 footers and the over 17 footers are quite heavy. Just a couple nuts and bolts wouldn't be able to hold them up. And again, it's a safety issue. We want to make sure we get the engineered system right to support. Aluminum at the upper level windows and the north and west elevations have been installed, as well as you could see the east elevation and the south elevation. Aluminum interior glass walls and doors have been installed on the second level and main level. We are waiting with the clear story glass above the tube steel on the 4-line, separating the main library space to the backside. We're waiting to get that done. Curtain wall opening in the south elevation has the frame in. We are still covering it with a tarp right now until the glass goes in, but that should happen within the next few days. Acoustical ceiling grid and tiles are in progress on the second floor and main level with the additional hanger requirements requested by the building official. We actually finished that up today on time and material. So that would be one of those items that will turn into a PCO for next committee meeting. The linear wood frame ceiling and grid has been installed or being installed on the second level. And the main level, right now we are putting the linear wood panels in where the devices are. We won't be able to close that ceiling out until we get our above ceiling inspection. Acoustical cloud ceilings have been laid out, like we said at the last meeting, that we're ready for installation now that we have painted that children's area, the dark blue and the light blue. That's going to be fantastic with the axiom trim going up. Acoustical ceiling grid, the standard acoustical ceiling grid and installations have been completed within the garage, along with the installation of the light fixtures. I don't know if you guys could drive by at night and take a look. Those lights are on and working. The pad cuts for devices are also being installed as well. Once I get my final above ceiling inspection in there, it's going to be full tilt moving forward with the padding of those ceilings. The Riley lot, we have the fourth section of the pedestrian bridge has been set and in place. Electrical conduits are now finishing under the bridge. Final site work preparations are ongoing. We've completed the swales and gratings pretty much. We're about 95% complete with that. The steel work has started at the bridge ramp, as you could see when you drive by. Concrete forming and rebar installations are starting this week in preparation for the concrete bridge stair as well. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions for Anthony?
I'll ask.
Patrick?
I was waiting to see.
I was almost in the clear.
You almost were. So Anthony, as usual, I mean, a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, a lot.
You guys are great. So I wanted to go back to the comments with Crown Council and Frontier. So I thought one of the original problems was that in order to get the CO or a TCO, we needed to establish connections for emergency personnel and so forth. So where am I going? I mean, where I'm going with this is what needs to be done. I mean, right now, are we going to have new telephone numbers?
I believe
How's that gonna work?
I've been chatting back and forth with Glenn. I believe that numbers were never, they're still active, which is a good thing through
but
Frontier.
The library numbers have been transferred to the atrium and to
Yeah.
McMahon. So in order to establish connections through Prosser, do we have to just create a new number? Or are they going to take away a number or?
I don't want.
Online.
You should be.
Yeah,
So-
I can help answer that actually, if you'd like.
Thanks, Chris.
Awesome,
Yeah,
Chris.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, so no, our copper line is no longer needed for our phone service. It's been ported over. It's now part of our fiber phone network. So we don't, these copper lines that we're talking about are really only needed potentially for the fire panel and the elevator, and maybe just the elevator, because there might be some other ways to do the fire panel.
We were
So-
thinking about the cellular way, right, for the panel.
Yeah, Glenn said he'd prefer to do the cellular way
Right.
if he can, and it's typically done, I guess, with the fire panel vendor. So we might just need it honestly for the elevator, and even that's questionable. So I think we're just trying to figure it out.
Right.
Okay.
Well, Chris, I did get confirmation from Otis. I had a call with Tom Longy over there, and he did say he needs a hard line for the elevator. That's I
Yeah.
think that's a state
Yeah,
code.
Doug mentioned though that today that it could be an Ethernet. It can be a tie back to our phone, but that also might slow things down because we don't even have our network switch. So
Right.
I think bringing those copper lines, at least one back in, is probably worth it.
Yeah, we definitely need a hard line to the elevator. That's life safety. So any way we can facilitate that would be good.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think we can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks, Chris. That's a great update.
So would there be a timeline next week from Crown Castle as to when they're actually?
They still got
have-
quite a bit of work when they're terminating, but right now, which was good news, they made pretty quick work of the line pulling over to the IDF room. So
Okay, because when is our FF&E supposed to start being delivered?
May 22nd,
Okay.
19th.
so They have to have the connection done before May 22nd.
Right.
Tomorrow's April 24th.
Yep.
Okay. 3 weeks. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just want to make sure. Thank you.
Other questions for Anthony before he moves on? Okay.
All righty, moving down. Let's get to Part B, the requisitions and PCOs. April 2025 requisition is currently being assembled. Again, I need to review that, get it over to Colliers and TSKP for their review and comment as well. Tonight, although I am looking for GMP CO number 13 approval in the amount of $43,215. And this included approved PCOs at last committee meeting, which be PCO number 59, PCO number 72, and PCO number 78.
So moved.
All right. Approval of PCCO number 13, moved by Mr. Ike, seconded by Mr. Berman. Thank you. Questions? All right. All in favor of PCCO number 13, please say aye.
Aye.
You nays? Anybody abstaining? Motion passes. Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, moving down the list, budget and pending PCOs. PCO 34, we still track the DOT paving requirements. Still working out with Manafort. All right. PCO 47 is column line 4 modifications, working with TSKP and the design team on that one. We just got further clarification from our steel subcontractor on that as well. We got that over to TSKP for their review and comment again. PCO 79, which is the automatic door operators at 114B in the 206 toilet room. Bob, I have a budget right now of $29,000. We're still waiting on some final pricing to come in from our aluminum vendor, which is that door 114B. Everybody else, I believe, has submitted their pricing. PCO 85, it's a sill flashing and exposed exterior columns. But by the time I put this agenda together, this will be void. It should be no cost. Accurate did a mock-up for TSKP in the field with, I think Jeff was approved today, and I think Accurate is going to proceed accordingly.
Yes.
All righty. PCO 89 is our structural clip and engineering for those glue lamb trim panel supports. Right now, I have a budgeted cost of $38,500. $30,000 of that was to fabricate and install and engineer these structural clips. We do have some additional money in there for some rework and demo of some cold form framing and some drywall and patching of that drywall to get back into install and weld these clips to support these glue lamp panels. So I'm still working through the details with our subcontractors on that. That's one of those PCOs I'd like to get on for next meeting. But for tonight, officially, there's two PCOs I'd like to get committee approval on. The first one is PCO 71, which is a type 3 topsoil upcharge. This is just a material upcharge based on an RFI response we got from SLR in the amount of $3,841. It's a special upgraded soil to go to the bottom of the swale. And that's pretty much it.
So moved.
Right, we have a motion to approve by Mr. Ike, seconded by Mr. Berman.
Number doesn't match up.
Yeah,
Oh, no. 38.4. Oh, you know why? It's because when I look at my system, it rounds up $1. 38.40. $3,840, not 41.
I was gonna raise it to.
All right, questions, comments? I believe the budget was up till now higher than that.
It was, we cut it down. We had Manafort go back and take a look at some things. SLR actually cut some of the scope of work. Therefore, the pricing went from, I think it was almost close to $10,000 down to 3,000.
Other questions? All right, all in favor of approving PCO number 71 in the amount of $3,840, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anybody abstaining? Motion passes. Thank you very much. One more.
All right, last one is PCO 88. This is an added electric strike at door 208A. We had provisions for a card reader, but when you swipe the card reader, we didn't have any electrical component to open the door. So this electric strike was not shown on the hardware set, so we needed to add it in per RFI response 271 in the amount of $699. I think I got this one right.
So moved.
By Mr. Ike, seconded by Mr. Berman. Thank you. Questions? Mr. Berman.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Anthony, this got overlooked somehow?
It wasn't shown on the hardware sets. Usually when we have a bidder, they bid the job out or buy the job out per the hardware schedule. This electric door strike was not part of that hardware set in that schedule for that door. But we did have provisions electrically in the wall for the card reader, but nothing was connecting the card reader to open the door. It was just a standard latch.
Somehow got overlooked in terms of, it just slipped through the cracks.
Yeah, you could say that.
Other questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anybody abstaining? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
All right, I also want to give just a quick financial update of where we are with allowances and contingency for everybody that's curious. Right now, we have two types of allowance. Our allowances that have been established with our contract with our subcontractors, and then we have in our allowance, our GMP allowance, which have been established with the owner of the town of Bloomfield. So first and foremost, we have $121,208 totaling of subcontractor allowances that we have left. So this number consists of expenditures that we have already used and an estimated budget to the end of the job. So with those two numbers factored in, we should result in a credit coming back at the end of the day, at the end of the project to the town of Bloomfield of $121,208 plus or minus, depending what happens. But that's kind of where we land with our subcontractor allowances. Now for our GMP allowances that are directly with the owner, we projects coming back around $63,993. Again, that's for expenditures that to date, plus budgets and potential pending costs moving forward from now to the end of the job. All right. Our contingency update, which is per our March monthly report, we have an owner contingency for just Prosser that doesn't include about the $100,000 for McMahon. But right now, just for Prosser alone, we have $243,805. And then our CM contingency still remains around $536,467.
Okay, questions for Anthony? Mr. Berman?
Thank you, Chair. The subcontractor allowance that you're saying potentially is coming back to the town, that's after overtime and factoring in?
So the
Before you do more overtime?
So the overtime would be part of one of our GMP allowances. So for example, one of our subcontractor allowance is temporary conditioning through our HVAC subcontractor, which we build into their contract. So that's a negotiation between Downs and our subcontractor. We utilize it or we don't utilize it. We haven't spent a dime out of it. So what that $121,000 consists of are all the allowances that we have established with our varying subcontractors in that total amount. Another one would be we had temporary utility allowance or temporary power utility allowance in our temporary power subcontractor, where we utilized at the beginning of the job. Remember, we couldn't tie into the Eversource transformer out there. We had to find other means. They couldn't get us other means, so we had to rent the generator. So we used that funding to pay for the rental of the generator. Again, all these allowances are already established, so we don't use them. They come back at the end of the day.
But where you see the likely possibility of using some of these allowances,
I've already accounted that into these numbers.
Okay.
So we're trying to hit these numbers,
Okay, so this is your reasonable estimate
of what we hope to see back.
remain at the end of the job.
Correct.
Patrick?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. So Anthony, if I did my math right, and assuming the allowances don't change, that's close to $1 million that would come back to the owner. So it comes out to $965,473.
Per se,
All those
right,
contingencies and allowances stayed the way they are today.
right. And then as we continue to go, and if any, PCOs or potential
Yeah.
costs show up, obviously that number would change accordingly.
Right. But that's pretty healthy number.
Right, and well, the only thing I know of at this point that we haven't seen on these PCOs is the front plaza and steps,
Correct.
which we're still waiting on some options in pricing.
Correct. Yep.
Other than that, I don't know of other items.
The biggest one right now that I'm kind of projecting is those structural clips, but that's
accounted for.
That's accounting.
Yeah, these are, those contingencies and allowances take everything on this page into account, so. I'm trying to, we're so close to the end now that, I think we can really get a handle on the unknowns.
Right.
Even though you don't know what you don't know, but.
Right. No, absolutely. And that's why even these allowances, right, I think, projecting out, I think those are pretty good, pretty solid numbers.
Good. Well, those are important for us to know because those big numbers are coming up for the plaza and stairs. We want to be able to make an informed decision about that. Bigger numbers, I should say. Yep. Okay. All right. Pictures.
Last part.
Show us pictures, please.
All right, you could see here, that's the east elevation before you turn the corner coming down Mountain Avenue. Concrete sidewalk is in. ADA strips are in. That's the Newport sidewalk today. They've graded it the other day. They poured it today.
It's white concrete, right? It's just dark because it's fresh.
It's just dark because it's brand new, correct. So with that being said, that will dry up, look like obviously a normal sidewalk, but this is also part of that section in that change order that we got approved a while back. That was supposed to remain. It's all brand new now, looking pretty nice. You could see here, this is the stone wall, the other side of the stone wall, where Johnny has highlighted yellow. The unhighlighted side, they're all 100% complete. It looks absolutely amazing. Going down the list, that's iPay decking off the porch. We got a little bit farther to go to reach the main entrance, but that has been some tedious work. That wood is actually, it's pretty dense, pretty hard, but it's coming along together pretty well. Interior, that's the second level adult stacks area. We have our light fixtures in, we have our ceiling panels in, our glue lamps going. You can see here, you have the tech training center in the back with the glass and the aluminum in. As you can see, we're starting to clean up the space a little bit, get rid of all the clutter and get ready for our finished carpet to hit this area.
That's the glue lamp panels.
I don't know. I'm sure we have a shot of it. But this is, I'll get there. But this is the main library center. As you can see, all the ceiling panels in except that back area. We got to get that big, huge 34-foot glue lamp trim panel in and hung up on the wall. This is the back stair 2 with the sprinkler in. See me block in, stairs up and in. This is a curtain wall from the outside up the ramp on the plaza. This is that back final grading and the curbing in going on the north side entrance to the garage. But I don't have a one of those glue panels. I could try to pull one up real quick.
No,
If anybody has any questions,
one with pendant lighting looks like it's glue lamp panel.
say that again. Where are you?
The pendant lighting one.
Second floor shot.
This one right here?
So, yep.
Oh, yeah, right there in the back. You could kind of see.
Yep.
There you go. Yep.
Right.
Again, those were a little bit smaller. We didn't have to do any structural clips for that, but you know, anything over 17 feet, those things are about 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, but still, we get the concept, we can see what it looks
You get the concept. That's perfect. I didn't even see that. Good catch, Johnny.
Yeah, sorry. I
Okay.
should have added one more. That's bigger.
It's all good. Looks good.
like. No, that's good.
No, it's good.
Questions for Anthony? I gotta say that now that the vast majority of the glass is in, and the plastic has been removed from them, when you're inside the building, the views outward from all sides of the building are spectacular, really. You can see all the way up to the park, to Philly Park, and the brook. It's really something. So please come to Tuesday meetings and you get a tour of the building. Okay, questions for Anthony? Clark?
Any changes in the finish date, where we stand on?
No, right now we're still shooting for the 20, getting ready for FF&E on the 19th to the 22nd. Finished floor down, ceilings in, but again, we'll still be finishing acoustical wall panels out of the way and some miscellaneous finishes throughout. Community room will be the last room. There's only chairs going in there, but that ceiling panel and that ceiling work will be done as FF&E is going in. We'll be outside the building with probably landscaping and stuff like that, but you know, our main focus was push to get this FF&E ready for the 22nd.
Okay. Scott, Johnny, Anthony, thank you very much. Let's go to Glenn. Is Glenn with us?
Glenn is unable to be here.
Oh, Glenn is not with us.
Downstairs.
Okay.
He
All right.
apologizes, but he said he didn't have any significant updates.
Okay, then let's move on to Jeff, TSKP report.
So as you sense from Anthony's walkthrough, what's going on at the site, and the fact that there's a lot of on-call email correspondence, phone call discussions, just to keep the wind in the sails so that we get this thing done. There's a lot of that going on these days. So submittal reviews still come in, trickle in, RFI questions constantly, but mainly we're in the phase of a lot of immediate responses uh, to things like, the plaza rejection of the steps, what Plan B is, quality control, and I believe that Downs is doing their very best to maintain that. They're asking a lot of questions and not just doing things. So I like that. So I'll be there tomorrow morning to help the team. And that's going to continue till we're either one of us drops or the project's done, whatever happens first. With McMahon, the canopies, unless somebody has any questions first for Prosser, I can just walk right into McMahon.
Nope, no
All right,
hands up.
so with McMahon, the canopies, let's see, I pretty much got some headway with the rain chain and the scupper attachment, working closely with Structures Unlimited. So I have a pretty substantial idea that I think is going to be nice. And then the chain actually that's going to connect down to the rain garden. So I'll be ready soon to present that to the rest of my team to discuss further and finalize that. The children's garden, our team has worked through the majority of the hardscape layout and grading on the western side of the building, parking lot, west entry, children's garden, etc., the book locker. Glenn requested that a progress set for the parking lot be sent to him so that he can forward to the contractor for pricing. So I know that that's the priority right now. But the problem with doing that sometimes is we just got to make sure we're thinking through the relationship of the garden to the edge of the parking. So I think we got a handle on that. And I think it's not going to be a problem in this case. And I think it's important to keep Glenn moving, getting this pricing so that he can get this parking going while we're, getting pricing and working on the other elements of the building. We're working through some final grading tweaks and we'll be continuing to develop that progress set for Glenn. One thing that I had Glenn do was the existing drawings for McMahon showed the sanitary line, the water line coming out at a certain point of the building. I asked Glenn to do some probing because something didn't feel right. So he couldn't find them where they were shown on the drawing. So my suspicion is that they're coming out of the building on the east side, which would make sense along the main entrance sidewalk there that Glenn just put in. So I've asked my structural engineer, thinking ahead, just in case when we start opening up for the foundations, that we have a plan to accommodate the foundations, whether it's a sleeve or whatever. Jeremy, my structural engineer, says, Jeff, don't worry about it. We can address it as it comes. It's not a big deal. So he's eased my conscience a little bit about that because I was losing a little sleep about that to make sure that we didn't stop the canopies because we didn't know exactly where the lines were coming in the building. But and also some new fiber went in on the east side, but I think we've mapped that out enough to get a rain garden there anyway. So I think it's going to work out. I'm getting excited about the children's garden, the canopy. So it's interesting how this project's just gotten more and more exciting as we go on. So I think it's all going well. Just got to keep the pace going and keep feeding Glenn so we can get the pricing and then we can start building this thing. That's all I have for McMahon.
All right. Any final questions for Jeff? Okay, no hands. We thank you, Jeff. So that brings us to Doug from Colliers. Doug, you're on.
Sorry, turn back on my mic. Yeah, so special testing continues to progress, same as they were. Tri-State's been out there to do concrete testing. They were out for doing the mortar for masonry, any testing of the windows, storefront windows, which should be pretty much getting close to being complete. Reports are all being sent out to the town building officials and the special inspector, Michael Horton. There are Tri-State has 2 invoices that were submitted for review later on. Commissioning, Van Zelm continues, as Anthony mentioned, Van Zelm continues to work with Downs contractors on getting everything ready for startups and the commissioning process. And they have 1 invoice that's been submitted, again, for review later on. FF&E, We met the other day on Monday with the vendors. Everybody has reiterated, they see no issues at all with, installing on the timeline as planned, so that was reconfirmed. Nobody has any major concerns at all, so it's all should come together very smoothly. Move dates have been scheduled at this point. McMahon, we're gonna do a little bit earlier. We'll be moving McMahon's books on May 20th. And then Prosser, we've got lined up for moving books starting on June 11th for whatever that takes, a week and a half, 2 weeks to get everything over. So almost 75,000 volumes that have to come over and be shelved and sorted. So it's gonna take a little while. And that is pretty much it for my stuff. Any question?
Yeah, Doug, I wanna make sure that we track the final paperwork on the special inspector. That's Michael
Yes.
Horton.
Yes, yeah, there's still some testing coming in, but yes, that's not been forgotten about, so. Horton will have to give us that sign off, but I
Yeah,
will.
those
send
final
reminders.
sign-offs will be
Yep.
necessary, for the building official.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's on my to-do list, but yeah, I'll reach out to him, make sure that he's on board with it once all the testing is done, but absolutely, we have to have that for the building official.
Thank you.
Yep.
Questions for Doug? All right.
Mhm.
We thank you.
Thanks. Yep.
All right. So let's go. We've got some invoices, Joe.
We do.
What's up first?
Okay, first we have Colliers for $6,604.96.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ike, seconded by Mr. Berman. Questions? All right, all in favor of the Colliers invoice for $6,604.96, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anybody abstaining? Motion passes. Thank you.
Next, we have the first of two from Tri-State Material Testing Lab. This one, they've both been vetted by Doug. And the first one is for $2,322.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ike.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Berman. Questions? All in favor of the Tri-State Materials Testing Lab invoice in the amount of $2,322, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anybody abstaining? Motion passes.
The next one I have is the second one from Tri-State, also vetted by Doug for $1,541.
So moved.
All right, moved by Mr. Ike.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Berman. Questions? All in favor of the Tri-State Material Testing Lab invoice in the amount of $1,541, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anybody abstaining? Motion passes. One more.
And the last one that I have is from Van Zelm, also vetted by Doug. Give me a quick second. There you go. And that is for a total of $4,536 even.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ike.
Second.
Second by Mr. Berman. Questions? All in favor of Van Zelm invoice in the amount of $4,536, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anybody abstaining? Motion passes. All right. Thank you very much. That leaves us with any other items from the committee? Any hands up?
I
Elizabeth.
have one. I know we mentioned it earlier, but the atrium as of May 1st will be opening at 1 o'clock on Thursdays as we prepare for this next phase of the moving for both materials to McMahon and then to Prosser. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to ready that. So we are going to start reducing those hours, but McMahon-Wittenberry Library will be open during those times. So we will have signage accordingly, but just so everyone knows. I also wanted to relay that we continue to hear really positive feedback from the community about McMahon-Wittenberry Library. And again, just wanted to say to everyone, just great job on that. We're averaging between 700 and 1,000 people per week in that location. And we just want to remind everybody that yes, McMahon-Wittenberry Library is open again 7 days per week. You can call us or check out our website for more details. And I believe that was it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. Other committee members, Mr. Berman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I went and visited the atrium last week. Get an idea of what they had there that probably would not be going to Prosser. I know they're getting all new shelving, so all that shelving there. And I'm glad to see Penny still on here because I believe, Penny, you and the library staff need to identify what shelving is going to go into the Friends of the Library section so that can be identified and marked so it doesn't go elsewhere. That circulation desk that's at the atrium, I don't believe is going anywhere. So that's something that's going to have to be disposed of. There are a few pieces of children's furniture there. I don't know if they're going to Prosser or not. If they aren't, then that another item that needs to be dealt with. I would like to suggest that because the town's policy is the town departments get first crack at whatever a department does no longer need, that sometime in early May, I suggest the second week of May probably is the most likely date, that the other town departments are invited to come over to the atrium and identify what they may want from the place, from the items that are not going to Prosser, so that there's a better handle on all that. And it's a suggestion, but it's something I think we can't lose sight of. And if we put it off longer than that, then we're going to be all of a sudden in June trying to figure out where we're going to put this stuff. And that's not a position I think we want to be in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Berman. Any other committee members?
I just wanted to note that I am in contact, as the chair of the building committee knows. We are aware of the Friends space and we're just waiting on measurements from Downs, and we'll be working with TSKP and the Friends to identify what is needed in their space. We already have a great idea of what's going to be going there based off of some of the shelving we purchased for McMahon-Wittenberry Library in, I believe in 2021, lovely shelving. So yes, thank you, Bob, for again reminding us. We are aware that is on our list about what is not going to be staying. That is something we spoke about with Colliers. Colliers also is aware of it, and we will continue to move forward with first the remaining move to McMahon and then to Prosser. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Just want to mention that as part of Myers service, we'll identify the shelving for the Friends area. And as part of Myers move, they'll disassemble that shelving at the atrium, bring it over and reassemble it in the Friends area. That's part of the service that we've bought from them. So.
Very good. Thank you, Doug.
Mhm.
All right. Any other committee members? Okay, then let's go, future meetings we are in May. That's what Anthony wanted to hear, right? We are in May. Okay, May 7th and May 21st, which brings us to public comments. Do we have any members of the public with their hands up? I see none. We thank you for joining us tonight. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Reich. Second by Mr. Berman. All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. I thank everybody for another productive evening before 7 o'clock. How's that?
Night, everybody.
Good
Night.
night, guys.